and you helped her all through her lupus, and you're at the colonoscopy, and you're jacking up the car. And
yeah, I mean, anytime she had an issue with like car at the Dirty South Customs, and like I would just go out to work and see what I could do with it. I would just do whatever I could to help.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the reasons Frank and Sandy work so well is because Frank let Sandy be Sandy.
Yeah.
And they probably both saw in you that you let Shanann be Shanann.
Yeah, I just like I didn't try to change her.
Right.
Like I just let her be who she is.
Yeah.
She's like she's gung ho. She's she knows what she wants. She's gonna go get it.
Yeah.
And I didn't say, hey, you can't do that. And that's what her first husband did.
Yeah.
She controlled everything. He tried to be Sandy, and it didn't work. And she turned into almost like me. She was like, she just kind of like played back and just kind of like let him do what he was doing. And then I think she learned after that she could just be herself. And then with me, she could definitely be herself.
Yeah.
So that's how it worked.
So do you think your dad had any inkling? Because I'm trying to remember the timing. He showed up when you were still walking around. You weren't in any trouble yet. When Ronnie came in.
Yeah, I had met with you the night before for like 3 or 4 hours. And then I was at Nick and Amanda's house.
Okay.
And I was there, and that's when I went to go pick him up.
Okay. And you picked him up. It was early that morning, right?
It was like 10:30, I think, when his flight came in.
Okay. And then so from there, you guys probably drove home and then to the police station.
Yep.
And the talks there were no type of confession from you. Okay.
No, it was like he was just gonna wait.
Okay.
I told him like if you're hungry, there's like that barbecue joint down the street, and like it's good. And just, he told me he never left.
He didn't. I wasn't lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was faithful. He was.
Yeah, I don't know how he lasted that long without food.
We ended up giving him food.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was great. And the reason I ask is because when I look back and watch the video, now knowing what I know after talking to you today, I can see how genuine he was. But I just didn't know if you guys had come up with some sort of plan. Okay.
No, we never talked about anything like that. I don't know, if I had told him anything, he would have probably just told me, just tell him right away.
I think you're right.
Like, he would have still loved me either way, but he would have told me, you need to tell him, like right now.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I was going to be there for 14 or however long it was, like 10 hours, however long it was.
You were there a long time.
Yeah, but it was, he would have told me just to say, just to tell you.
Yeah.
Did you know walking in there that you were going to tell us? Or did you think...
I knew there was a reason you brought me back in. I know, well, for the...
What'd you think about the polygraph?
That was horrible.
Why did you say that?
I don't know how you do that.
Why do you say that?
Because Tammy's a torturer.
I'm not.
No, like...
Tell me.
You answered... you asked me questions for like 3 or 4 hours beforehand, and then you do the polygraph, and it's like you just break down somebody's brain to where like...
Too much or what?
Too much. Jello, and it's just like, I know it's you guys have a job and you have a plan, and that's you executed it.
She's thorough, right? There's just no way to get out of there without the truth.
No, I kind of knew like because right when he asked me about like Saturday night, when I told you about the rock thing, I was like, man, she was like going through her head. I was like, why?
Well, we did know, we found out about Nikki right before the polygraph.
I figured that out after with meeting with John and everybody that she had met with somebody from the CBI, like on the 14th or the 15th. I was just like they were talking. Oh, okay. So you already knew. So, but
I mean, I didn't know how extensive it was, but yes, we knew it.
Yeah, walking in there that day, just walking into that room, I knew I wasn't walking out.
Yeah.
Just the feeling I had walking in that room.
Yeah.
Just seeing I don't remember if the polygraph stuff was already in there. I think it was.
It was, yeah.
But it was, I knew it.
I just feel like sometimes when people, do the bad thing and they stay, like, some part of me thinks, well, I think they're here because they really want to tell us what happened. Because it's not normal that you want to keep all that in. Like, that just kills people on the inside. And I could tell it was killing you that day.
Yeah, it was just like that. 13th when I slept in the house, it did nothing. I don't think I even slept maybe like 2 hours because I just finally just got so tired I just fell asleep. I had every light on. Nothing felt right.
What were you thinking about during your media interviews?
I didn't want to do it.
Why did you do it? Did you feel like you had to do it?
I felt like, they would have just kept knocking on my door until I answered it. And like I didn't even set it up, but Nicole Atkinson set it up. She told me, hey, Fox
Is she the one who set it up?
She said Fox is gonna be at your house at 10:30. I'm like, what? Like, okay. And I think I even called you about it, like, what do you recommend that I do? And he's like, it's kind of up to you. I'm like, okay. And I called one of her friends, what should I do? And she said I probably wouldn't do it, but I just felt like, I don't even want to know what I said, what I looked like on there, because I knew it. Some people said it just made it look even worse after the fact, but
It didn't look good. I mean, obviously we can't say, oh, we knew right then he was lying, but I think we all watched it together and went, this might be bad.
yeah,
I had that feeling after I watched it. So I could kind of see it in your face.
it's like I was just lying to more and more people, and it was just like
Do you have internet access here?
no.
So just don't get into that trap that everybody's in. Just watch
What
all
trap?
that.
Oh.
The social media trap and all that.
No, they
It's
don't. They
ridiculous.
don't let you have social media here. Like, I think some of the GP guys are getting like these little like tablets or something that are like the size of like a older iPhone or something.
Mm.
But I think they can use like email. But I'm not sure about like social media. No, definitely no social media. But like, I'm not sure about internet or not. But this place is kind of like a dead zone pie for phones, anyways. I would think.
I don't know, we're getting service, which is weird.
Yeah.
I didn't think we would.
Right here.
Yeah, right in this room.
Maybe this is kind of like a hub of
Yeah.
computers.
Yeah,
This is
true.
the spot.
Computer room, you would hope they'd have some.
Did you talk to Nikki afterwards? After all this happened?
On the 13th and the 14th.
What was that conversation like?
It was the 13th. It was kind of like, it was more text and then maybe a phone call, like a phone call. And then she thought maybe Shanann like took off with the kids. Like just, because I was telling her I didn't know where they were and all that. And then the 14th, she kind of thought something may have happened because they hadn't come back.
Why do you say that she might have thought that?
She kept asking me like some weird questions. Like she kept asking like questions that only I would know, but she was testing to see if like it was actually me on the phone. Like
What do you mean?
Like she would ask like, like what's my dog's name, or like what do I like, what yoga studio do I go to, or something like that. I'm just like, like I just answer her and then like another thing about I'm not sure if this is you. I'm just like, okay.
Is this through text or is this through calls?
Text.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't hearing your voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible she thought you'd been arrested and we were on the phone?
Either Shanann had my phone or somebody else had my phone, or like maybe maybe she thought it was.
Well, hopefully Shanann would know all the answers to those questions, right?
No. This is Nikki asking me.
Yeah, but if she's asking you your name of your dog and what yoga studio and
Yeah.
like, wouldn't Shanann know that?
Maybe she thought maybe I was with Shanann. Now she was just trying to find out who she was.
Mm. I
Yeah,
could
like
see that.
some of the conversation like on the 14th got a little weird. I think that's when she met with CBI or something, or FBI. I'm not sure who she met with first.
So she talked to you after she met with?
Nope.
Oh, she
that
did.
was like she had told me like, this is the last time you'll probably hear from me. I'm going to stay at my friend Jim's place while this is all going on. She said not to contact her until this is done. She told me to delete everything. And I didn't delete everything. I just okay. I'm not sure why I didn't delete everything, but it probably helped you guys out a little bit. But
She told you to delete everything?
delete all conversations.
Did
all
she tell you why?
correspondence. She just said delete it. which I don't think you can ever delete a text message.
We're pretty good at getting deleted text messages.
Did when your dad came in, one of the first things you guys talked about, he said, you know, kind of quietly, I cheated on her, I cheated on Shanann or something. Your dad didn't know until that time?
No, they had, when I was in North Carolina on August 6th, when I spent most of the day with my parents and my sister and everybody, you know, they had, I had told them like something like, you know, this, I don't think this is going to work, like, with what happened with the nuts and everything, and they're not being able to see the kids, they're like, you know, this is the first time they had talked to me, and pretty much.
Oh, because you went 3 weeks or something, right?
Yeah, because Shanann told me to call him while I was at the beach just to smooth everything out, because she was like, all right, whatever's going on in your head, you need to fix this. But she didn't want the kids to see him, she didn't want to see him. And then like when I did see him on August 6th, it was after I went and saw my grandmother. She's in a nursing home. And she still wouldn't go see my parents or anybody with the kids. And so I just told her to leave me there, and my dad would come pick me up, and you know, spent the whole day there. And I just they were, you know, they said they want to see the kids. They just don't know if they could ever like, you know, just forgive Shanann for everything that happened that day. I guess, I mean, I'm not sure like everything that was said that day when they had that argument, but apparently it was like a knockdown, drag out, like bomb that went on in there.
Pretty hurtful things.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. And you know, they just don't know like if they could ever forgive her or not. And I just like I never told them about like, you know, cheating on her. Like they even asked me, is there somebody else?
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
So they could kind of sense maybe something's going on.
Yeah, because Nicky was texting me the entire time I was over there.
Oh.
It's like they could kind of see like I was texting somebody, but it was like maybe they kind of knew. Like even like when I was in San Diego talking to my friend Mark, I told him about Nicky, but I didn't tell him like I was going to meet up with her.
Okay.
I told him that, you know, I was trying to like, I should have just told him right then. Maybe that would have helped me. I know maybe he had an instance where there was some girl coming after him, and she was engaged, and he ended up getting with her, and then they were together, and then she cheated on him.
Is this before he was married or during?
It was after.
Okay.
But like he could have, you know, helped me, but I just, you know, I never told him the whole thing. That, you know, it was a lot further along than I wanted it to be.
That's interesting to think about, right? Because your dad could have given you some good advice.
Yeah, everybody. No, this is my friend Mark.
Oh,
Not my
I'm
dad.
sorry.
Yeah, when I was in San Diego.
Oh, I gotcha.
So you think you told Mark about that and hoping that he maybe questioned you about it? Or
Well, I was, because, you know, Mark, my best friend, you know, I grew up with him since I was like 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
So, like, he had been married before, and it didn't work out. I guess they were stationed together or something, like, over in Korea. And, I should have just kind of just came out with, like, the whole story. Like, you know, like, I just told him, like, there was this girl at work that, you know, I've been talking to, but I'm just distancing myself from her, but that wasn't the case. I was just letting it, you know, exponentially get worse. If I had told him, like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
he would have been like, whoa, man, like, all right, take a step back and look,
Yeah.
and like, don't like fall into that trap, being you're gonna be alone for 5 weeks. And there's times I wish, you know, like maybe Shanann didn't have to go away for 5 weeks. Maybe we all just went for 1 week. And nothing would have ever happened. It's only, I mean, 5 weeks alone, that's the only reason really that was almost even allowed to happen.
There are quite a few people who would tell us, and who do tell us, you need to look into Nicky more, Nicky Kissinger. All the way from the extreme end of things being Nicky's the one who ordered the hit.
She was there hiding in the basement.
She was there.
Yeah.
You know, so the extreme is she's the one who told Chris to do it. She's the real problem. All the way, that's the extreme side, and then all the way to, well, there were these texts where she was infatuated, she was in love, she was saying how good Chris was in the sack, and maybe we should look at her more. You know, what would you say to those people?
You know, she had her moments where I had to talk her like off a ledge kind of deal.
What does that mean?
It's like, I guess after the fact, there was like videos of her that she was like recording herself because she was like bipolar or something. I never knew that. But it's like, and she would get worked up about nothing. She would just like, she came to my house once because I think it was like July 4th. I didn't have to work that day, so I didn't like get up at like 4 o'clock and go home. And Shanann called me like 10 times in a row, and I didn't hear it because I was sleeping. And I was just like, and she was pissed. Shanann was pissed. And like I called her on outside, like, where are you at? Like what? Like, I was like, I didn't have to work today. It's like you called me at like 5:30. It's like, well, kids want to talk to you at 7:30. I'm like I was sleeping. She was like, she just like screw you, like like I don't know where you're at. And I went back inside. Something like I gotta go. And she was just like, okay, are you coming back? I'm like, probably not.
So wait a minute, you kind of lost me there. Were you at Nikki's place
Yeah.
when Shanann called you?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you were sleeping in her bed.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to work that day because
Okay.
I didn't have to that day. It was the
Okay.
first holiday I ever had off. And, Shanann was pissed, and, kind of pissed Nikki off too that I left. But I think that's when I called Nikki later, and she was like, she kind of realized that, she'd always be like, the second, she said second fiddle.
Sure.
Just, I don't want to be anywhere else when Shanann calls. She was already pissed. So it was stuff like that where she would she would go. She said she would go on like websites and look at like, will a relationship work with somebody? Like, will a mistress work? Will a mistress turn into a relationship?
That's what Nikki was looking at?
Yeah.
She would tell you that, or you
She
heard
told
that?
me that.
Okay.
Yeah, she said that she would go on websites and look at stuff like that. I was like, why do you even look at stuff like that? She's like, I just want to see what other people have experienced.
But so that confuses me though, because I thought earlier you were saying she thought you were heading toward a divorce. So why was she looking at herself as a mistress?
This was later on.
Oh.
Like,
okay.
in August, like
Okay.
the first week of August, when I told her, like, I had had that talk with her about separation,
Uh-huh.
that's when, like, she started looking at, like, apartments and stuff. But, like, during our July relationship type thing there,
Oh, I see.
that's when she was looking up, like, will it actually work? And she
Well-
told her friend Brittany about it, I guess. And Brittany told her not to do it, but she said she'd already made a decision.
Okay. And so, are those people absolutely wrong about Nikki? She wasn't asking you to get rid of your family?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. And no part of any of this was because she put it in your head or asked you to, or?
No, she never. I mean, this whole relationship contributed to it.
Sure.
But she didn't
Okay.
want me to.
I mean, was it ever like, I wish you didn't have kids, I want to have, kids of my own with you, like,
She never knew if she wanted to have kids, but she said that, at one point she said, I'd like to give you a son.
did she know that Shanann was pregnant with a boy?
No.
Did she know Shanann was pregnant?
No.
And why is that? You just didn't tell her?
I didn't know. Like, because we had met.
But Shanann put that on Facebook. Like, how did she not see
I
that?
don't know. Maybe she didn't. She just waited for me to tell her, or she put it out of her head.
Can I ask you a question? A lot of people think you named Nico after Nikki. So what was that?
Nico was actually a name that Shanann liked.
Shanann thought of that one?
Yeah, I wanted to spell it like N-E-K-O. I thought it was like Nico that way.
Mm-hmm.
But she said N-I-C-O. And I thought it was like something like Nico or something.
Okay.
I guess Nico is more of like an Italian name.
Italian, yeah.
So, and like she did Lee for, my middle name and my dad's and all that. But like Nico is like, that's a name that she always liked.
Did she name all the kids? Did she name Bella and Celeste?
Yeah, Bella, because Italian means beautiful. Marie, mom's middle name. Celeste is her grandmother's name. Catherine's Shannon's middle name.
Did you have any input in their names?
I just don't like them. I was like, if we had a third child, I was gonna, maybe we could have like Lee in the middle name, but I knew like the girls' names. It was, I love those names, so I was like, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like with the, you have little nicknames for them, like Belle and Bella Bean and Cece, obviously. So good. But yeah, Nico was. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Can we go back to the house on the 13th? So, at one point, right when you got back there, Coonrod was there, Officer Coonrod, and Nicole was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went in the house in there for about a minute or so before you let everybody in. Do you remember what you were doing in there at that time?
So I went into the garage,
Right.
and then I ran around and I opened the front door.
Yeah.
Opened the front door for it. Did everybody come in through the garage or the front door?
Everybody came through the front door.
Yeah, so I came in, I went in through there, I came in and opened the front door, and I ran upstairs. And I just was like I was looking around.
Okay. That's after everybody? Did you go around the house at all before you opened the front door?
No, I didn't run around the house. I stayed down on the bottom, on
Okay.
the bottom floor, and then
Yeah.
went and opened the door.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious.
And I ran upstairs and everybody else, and that's when Nicole's son was on the phone, and I was going just acting like I was walking through the house.
Yeah.
Shanann had her bra on. Was that normal that she would sleep in her bra?
Every once in a while. I mean, she just got home from the plane, so she didn't even take off her makeup or anything. Maybe she was just that tired. But normally, I don't know.
Did it not come off when you guys had sex?
I
No?
don't think so. Sometimes she just, she just keeps her shirt on and she doesn't want me to do anything. Just like, she wants what she wants. She knew what she wanted. That's what she wanted.
Was it just missionary sex?
Yep.
And when her final resting place, was that just naturally what she was wearing? You didn't change her or anything like that? Okay.
Did you have to see any of that stuff? Pictures or anything? No?
I asked not to.
Okay.
They said I could. I was like, no, I don't want. I've prayed for those hazmat workers. That I'm sure it was hazmat, right? That had the.
You were part of it.
Yeah. And like,
We were all there.
We were all there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I never wanted to see it. I just prayed for that. I'd rather have to be there. So I never wanted to know what the aftermath was. And they said like, if this ever got like a preliminary hearing, that I would have to see him just to be prepared and not have a reaction, an initial reaction. But I was like, I don't want to see him.
Do you feel like your lawyers were fair to you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were my only human contact, really.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, almost like a guidance counselor, almost.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were driving the bus, though? With your decisions you made,
Yeah,
or
well,
not?
I was like, there was a lot of things I didn't really know what was going on behind the scenes. Like,
Sure.
maybe there was a lot of things they never told me. Like, like stuff that came out, like, afterwards. Like, that whole Nikki Kessinger article and Denver Post and all that kind of stuff. They told me, like, afterwards and everything. But it was... I always felt like anything I was telling them, they were going to do. Like, the whole taking the plea deal and everything, I told them that's what I wanted to do. And they asked me, like, it seems like 100 times, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? Like, once you sign this, like, I guess up until sentencing, I had the time to, like, back out. But, like, they always, even before we walked in the courtroom, like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, okay. They never told me this is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
They always just said, this is your decision, like, if you want to take this farther, where, and John said he had all kinds of motions written and all kinds of stuff that were, like, really creative, and because he'd never been in something like this before, and he was ready to fight, and I was just like, I didn't want you to have to do that. Not for me, not for something that the story isn't true.
Yeah.
Because it would just only gotten worse.
Right.
For everybody. For all three of you, for everybody that was involved in it.
Are you still glad you did?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I'd be in prison the rest of my life, but like I don't want people to have to keep going through this every day of their lives, knowing that, you know, there's a trial hanging over their head, or, I mean, if it ever got that far, I don't know. But, like, I didn't want people to have to relive it every day. Did they have to ever see the pictures?
Say that again?
Did they have to ever see the pictures? Frank and Cindy and all that?
No. No, they've never seen that.
They saw some things.
They didn't see anything bad.
Okay.
Yeah, we shielded that from them.
That's one thing, I just didn't want them to have to see anything or hear anybody talk about what anything or any part of it. Or like, you know, anybody bashed their daughter, you know, like anybody to ruin, like, you know, to hear what, you know, some of my friends had a negative, you know, impact on her from her, or like had a description of her that didn't match, you know, something like that. I didn't want them to hear that either. But like, I didn't want them, like, you know, anybody had to trash her memory. Like, I wanted like them to know, like, she's, you know, she's loving life, she's beautiful, she always helped everybody else, all her friends, her Lucas friends, everybody. I just wanted, I didn't want anybody to take away from what she did.
We tried to get you to say that night. I know, but do you remember that?
I remember. I was just like,
I know you obviously weren't ready to say that
I
then.
know. It's like, you know, like after my dad left, we both came in like, all right, we got most of the story. Let's get to the true story. I'm just like, I just wanted to bang my head against the table.
Well, in the end, I think you did the right thing. And even though it's hard to hear, there's a lot of people who thank you for what you did. You know, I think your whole life has been thinking of others, except for one brief moment. You know, I think you really did think of others when you made that choice. So I personally thank you, right? Because it would have been hard for the three of us to go through about this hard, and for everyone else about that hard, right?
It was anybody that was family or friends,
Right.
And you know, just exponentially harder for everybody.
Yeah. You did the right thing.
So you haven't told your parents what happened? You just told them I'm pleading guilty for a reason?
Yeah, I've told them like on the phone, even because they're still. I don't know,
You should fight it. You should get.
They've got letters from like Australia, from England. I mean, of like the 35C in Colorado and stuff, like, you know, improper counsel or something
Ineffective
like that.
counsel.
Ineffective counsel, and I mean, some of the stuff they've, you know, they said about, you know, the dry patch, how it's not like FDA approved, how it can alter somebody's mind, like, it was some kind of condition, but there's something else they call like CPSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or something like that. Have been like, some people from England have had it. It's like they've been in an emotionally abusive relationship and stuff like that. I mean, just like, you know, some of the little subjects they put in there, like, yeah, I can relate to it, but like it doesn't make up for the fact what happened. But like they've got a lot of support from, they've got a lot of hate mail, a lot of phone calls, a lot of like, you know, stuff like that. I wish they never happened. But they, you know, they give some support, which is good. But on the phone, they still think, you know, there's a chance that I could get out.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to ever think your kid's going away forever. Like, you don't want to fathom that.
They tell me to fight it, like, you know, they don't, not every day, but on their bad days, they'll get a bad message or a bad letter, and then I'll just kind of revert back.
Is it more your mom or your dad?
My mom, she loses it a lot.
Yeah.
On the phone, my dad's usually trying to, you know, like, hey, don't talk about this stuff on the phone with him. Because it's just gonna rile you up, and it's gonna make him go back to his cell, and he's just gonna think about that all night.
Right.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Would you ever want them to know what you're telling us today?
I'd rather just tell them myself.
Yeah.
That they're coming. I think they're gonna try to make a visit in like May or so.
So they don't, do they still think that Shanann killed the girls?
They still believe that, even though I told them I pled guilty for a reason. But they think that I was, their words, like, railroaded by the legal team. Because they, you know, they felt like they pressured me to do it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that? No.
No, they asked me plenty of times. This is like, you know, they wanted to fight. Like, they were, if I said fight, they would have just, you know,
Yeah.
gone and,
Put on their gloves.
yeah, just went in there and did it. you know? And I was like, no, I can't have you do that.
So Chris, you care about others deeply. I can tell. You worry about others. And I've asked you, a bunch of times today, but you're not just telling us that you did it because you feel bad for Shanann's memory. You did it? Okay.
I have to say, like, after this was all over, people would bring up, like, oh my gosh, I bet you're going to find out that Chris, used to torture animals and, all this stuff. You can imagine, like, hearing that someone's capable of that, what have they done in their past, those kinds of things. Can you think back to your past at all, like your childhood, and think about any other moments that maybe you felt this same rage? I mean, obviously didn't do anything like that, but maybe felt that rage, and like what would have triggered that, or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, I was always like somebody that tried to coax people down, not to, like, if somebody wanted to fight somebody else. I think I got in a fight like when I was in 3rd grade, but it was like, we ripped each other's shirt, went away crying.
Mm-hmm.
It was like stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, why did I do that? And like maybe that was like my only like bad thing I did in school. So I can't think of
Did you feel it on the inside, whether you didn't act it out? Like, did you feel like if someone bullied you at school, or if someone whatever, like, would it still be inside you? Like, did you feel like that even though you didn't actually act on it?
Probably it's because I was always, I never really talked to many people. So I never, people knew who I was, but they didn't really, I never really spoke to many people. That's why I never had a girlfriend in high school. I was always kind of like, just fly under the radar.
Did you feel like you had low self-esteem?
I won't say low self-esteem. It was just like, I didn't want to be part of like a group or a clique. I just like, I had a couple friends. I sat at the lunch table with them, or sat out, they call it like the fish pond area, and, just chilled out there. And, I didn't really want a whole lot of friends. It's kind of like just close-knit, and I just wasn't out there. I mean, like I said, people knew who I was, but it wasn't a matter of like I was popular or anything.
Mm-hmm. Can you attribute that to anything in your childhood? Why you were like
my
that?
My sister was always the popular one.
Uh-huh.
She was more like my mom, like more like outgoing, and like me and my grandma would always sit outside in middle school waiting for her to come out and pick her up, and she'd always be the last one out. She'd talk to everybody in the hallway. And my grandma would always like, where is she at? Does she know we're waiting? But I was just the opposite of her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes you have kids that are like the same, and some you have opposite. Me and my sister are completely opposite. Maybe I just drew on that I didn't want to be the popular one. I wanted to be just just a regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there was not really like bullying, or not like I remember. Nobody ever really came up to me or wanted to fight me, or
Never got made fun of. Never.
I had braces and I had like a bowl cut for a while. I guess it could have made me fun.
I think most kids did.
The 80s and 90s were cool.
Yeah, it's like a Jim Carrey cut with a bowl on your head. Just around. But yeah, I don't think there was anything that would be pent up inside me
From childhood. I know you talked about your dad having an addiction when I was talking to you.
That was after I left. I left home.
Was it cocaine or something, or?
It was some type of powder. I'm not sure if that was cocaine. I guess
How do you think that affected you?
I don't think it affected me. Well, it did affect me, but it didn't like take like deep down. It didn't like really hurt as much as I thought it would. It was kind of weird because I think it was my mom and my sister told me, like when they talked to him about it, it didn't seem to register. Like I said, like he would just change subject, and like when I talked about it, he eventually immediately changed subject. I was like, because they found like cuts on his like CDs and stuff where he would like separate it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He at a car dealership, find guys that do that kind of stuff all the time, I guess. But he was just coping with like I never came back home, and because before I met Shanann, and it was just.
Did you feel guilty that he's now using drugs because you never came back home, like he lost his kid?
I never really knew why he was doing it. After the fact, I knew it was because he was coping with that, but I never knew why he really actually turned to drugs. My mom thought he was having an affair because all this money was going somewhere else just for the drugs, but like I'm not myself. I never use drugs, so I always try to tell them like, hey, like what's going on? Like why do you need to use this? And just like you could be using this for a whole lot better things. You know, just don't throw your life away. I mean, like because you could see in his face, like you know, it's like eyes or like everything was getting like you know like the drugs through your face and like your skin was getting all loose and like he was losing a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
His nose was bleeding all the time and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was just telling him like, hey, you know, you smoked like every day of your life since you were like 15 or 16. You're like, you know, I can't get you to stop that, but I can get you to stop this.
Right.
And he put it away, I guess, pretty quick after I talked to him about it.
Do you think you were closer to your dad than your mom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always went to races together, and this, you know, he always came to my sports, played for a couple school sports, right ball, all that kind of stuff, you know. My mom would come to sometimes, but my dad was always there. Even if I wasn't playing, he'd just come there just in case I can't win in there.
Oh.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I wondered if they hadn't visited because they weren't ready to visit, or if it was a money thing, or you know, like getting the time off. Yeah, you like
visit here?
Yeah, visit here.
Well, I just told him like, well, they can't drive in the snow, so it's you know, I don't want.
These roads are bad.
Yeah, it's I think it's like an hour from either Madison Airport, whichever way it is. I told him like wait till springtime.
Good advice.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
It was yesterday.
Do they have money to get here?
They sold my toolbox to get some money to come out here.
Okay.
So yeah, so they'll come out here and like they said April, but I was like, you know, just maybe push it till June. They said they can tonight have a blizzard out here in April sometimes too. Like
the late spring blizzard, yeah.
so lake effect stuff is crazy.
Mhm.
When I was at DRDC,
Swooped you up, didn't they?
I was there a week. Like the first day I got there, they put me through the ringer. Like I had like 11 tests to do, like mental tests, like reading, math, all kinds of stuff just to see where my IQ was. And then I just sat there the rest of the week. And then Sunday came along, and after dinner they said, "All right, strip down and put this on." I'm like, okay, and then walked outside. Strip down and put this on. I'm like, okay. And then walked outside and put me in the van. It's like, good. I had no idea what was going on. And then we stopped in Sterling, which really freaked me out. I was just like, I don't want to do this, because I heard so many horror stories about that place. And they just stopped to use the bathroom, and then we kept going.
In the prison? Do they use the bathroom at the prison?
Yeah, it was like at the watchtower outside.
Oh.
And we went into Nebraska, sheriff's office there, and then another sheriff's office in Iowa. Used the bathroom, eat breakfast, and then got here. I asked him, I only talked to him once. I'm like, can you tell me like where we're going? Like just the destination state? He's like, I don't know. So it was like one of those like transport vans, like where it was like had just the middle where I was sitting there, and I could see out the window, and I could see like they would put in an address each time. Like they had like 4 sets of addresses to each one they had to go to. They just would never tell me where we were going to end up.
What did they say your IQ was?
I was like 140, 135 or something like that.
Is that high? I don't even know what.
Yeah, it's good. It's above average.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tipping back to high school for real. Like,
Main parts of the city on all that stuff.
yeah, there was a lot of word problems, a lot of like geometry, a lot of like patterns. Like if this was moved this way, and then it was like a series of them. Like, all right, what's this one going to be? Just a lot of stuff like that. But like the further you got along, the harder it got. I'm just like, it's like great. And it was like they give you this little take that pen and take the little tube out in the middle. And that's where you're using to fill in these little Scantron sheets and everything. I felt like I was in high school again.
Do you know how long you're going to be here? Neither do I, by the way.
No.
And do you know, are you going to get a job?
If since I'm staying here, or since I've got staffed here, that you have to work.
Oh, so what's your job now?
I don't have one yet.
Okay.
They haven't moved me out of the acceptance and evaluation, assessment and evaluation
Are you
process.
still in that phase? Okay. And how long will that take?
Oh, right now, like since I've been staffed here, I'm just waiting for them to move me over to a different unit.
And are you in Gen Pop right now?
No. No, I'm in a unit. There's like 11 or 12 of us on there. There was like 22 when I first got there, but they've been transferred to the other prisons around.
So what are the other guys like?
They're fine. Like the first time, like I sat out and ate like a breakfast or lunch with them, I was scared.
They were scared.
Yeah, I was just like, this hasn't happened. Like, since I just never happened.
Yeah.
Like I said, they locked the hallways down when I got moved to Colorado.
Oh, well, I heard that. Yeah.
So it was like, being next, like right like this, eating next to somebody, I was just like, so you're gonna like take a spork and try to stab me or something, or what? But it's totally different here. I mean, people know who I am, but like they don't like, run at me or jump at me or like. Apparently they, the guys that work here, they know that I guess other maxes are like you lock down like 23, 22 hours a day.
Oh, so then this isn't a hard place to be?
For like
Right,
other
yes.
max guys.
Good.
They said it's the best max but the worst medium.
Oh,
Because if you're max, you're working, so you're out at your cell working, like if you're a clerk or if you're in the kitchen or if you're in the rec area, you're doing something.
okay.
But yeah, they said like if you get stabbed here, it'll be best for you. Plus, they said it's not as like rowdy as some of the other places.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm going to the GP area. I just don't know when.
And you think that'll be while you're here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they said like I guess it could take it takes a while to get moved from max to medium because in Colorado I was classified as minimum restrictive, but with the charges it would have been medium. But here it's automatically max.
And what are the other guys in for, do you know?
They said most guys in here are for like gang snitches and sex offenders and mainly people that have 20 years or more.
So people who were in for a long time and who would otherwise have a pretty hard time at a jail
Yeah.
for whatever they did,
Yeah.
whether it be snitching or
Yeah, like
children or...
yeah, or there's some people from other states here as well, and I guess there's a couple cops here too.
Okay.
Just just things have happened, and they just don't think it'd be better. It'd be a lot better if they're here and not at another prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what kind of jobs are available?
Well, it's like they'll probably have me in the kitchen more than like that's where everybody starts out, like either washing dishes or like putting foods on the trays or helping pots and pans, something like that. But they have like libraries. They have like I think this is the PSU area, the psych area, so they'll have like different guys doing clerk stuff around here. I mean they have over like 300 GP guys here that are like live here, so they have a job for every one of them.
Huh?
There's even a guy that shovels the sidewalks.
I think we saw him.
Yeah, we saw him. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be that guy.
Not here.
Do you go to therapy? Do you see a psychologist? Do
There's
you?
actually the one her name's like Javier or something like that. She seems like once a month, and she's actually from Aurora.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. I walked in, I saw a Bronco flag. I'm like, okay, who are you? But yeah, it's.
So does she give you therapy or?
No, she just like talks to me just to see if I need anything or if like if I need psych meds or if I need anything like that, which I've declined all that stuff. But most people in my unit have meds. That's
Just
what-
to have them, or do you think they need them?
Well, it's like a special management unit. Like they just put me on there to keep me away from GP. And like most people either like just have like some type of medication they're on.
But you don't take anything.
No, they just keep me on there until the security advisor says you can get moved to GP down the hall.
What kind of stuff, like food and stuff, do you miss the most from the outside?
Food.
Yeah.
Well, I know from my last time in North Carolina, Bojangles, that was really good. I don't know if you guys ever go to North Carolina or no?
Is that barbecue?
It's chicken and biscuits.
Mm.
And that barbecue place down the street from Fred PD.
Mhm.
Forget what.
Smokehouse.
Yeah.
George Boys.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, the burn ends. I miss that. And just I miss Shanann's cooking. That's for sure. Like her spaghetti sauce and her fried pizza.
Fried pizza?
I don't think I've heard of that. What is that?
I've never heard of that. So
Her mom has, or I think it was her mom, her grandmother on her mom's side. had this like there's this dough, homemade dough you can make, and you just make up the dough, and she would make it up with Bella and Celeste sometimes, like a little smaller one, but she would make the really big one, and then she would put it in the oven, the bottom oven, and let it sit there for a couple hours, not with it on or anything, just let it rise, and then once it's done, take it out, form it, throw the spaghetti sauce she has, and spread it around, and throw the mozzarella and pepperoni and put it on the oven 350, and
But what part of it is fried though?
well, they have some parts that you put on the grill, you can put it on the
Okay.
stove too.
Okay.
It's really good. I mean, it's really thick,
Yeah.
so you got
Apparently, we need this from
Yeah,
Sandy.
I will work on that.
Yes, write a note.
Yeah,
Are you able to stay out of trouble here?
yeah.
Nobody's getting any fights? You're not getting written up for anything, you're not getting...
I try to keep a low profile here, so I don't want to. Because they say if you get like 2 contact reports, they'll ship you out if you work here. They don't want.
To another location?
Yeah,
Oh, so then, does that incentivize people keeping their nose down?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess a couple guys got busted for having a cell phone.
Oh,
How they got it in?
No kidding. Like, that stuff just baffles my mind how that stuff gets to.
I mean, they won't even let, like, if somebody sends me a letter and it has, like, even, like, someone sent me a Christmas card with glitter on it. They'll let me have it because it's glitter. Because, like, it's contraband. So, like, yeah, I don't have people get like, cell phones and stuff in here.
So, what do you do with all these letters that are coming into you?
Most of them, like, I just have, like, this, if somebody writes me once, I'll never write them. Just because I don't know, like, who they are, like, where they're from. I'll keep it. If it's like a weird letter, I'll straight up throw it away. If it's like a supportive letter, I'll keep it around, just like, a supportive letter. And then like I've had some people like write me like a second and third time, but they've changed the way they talk, or like they've said different things. Like there's like this dude in like California that wrote me. He's a senior in high school, and wrote. He's like, okay, dude. I look at the name, like, okay, shut it up, threw it away. He wrote me again like 2 weeks ago, totally different. Like, never mentioned like his age, never mentioned his study. Like, hey, like I support you. I'm like all this, like that. Like, if I didn't recognize his name, I would have known like he was just an 18-year-old kid, senior, trying to just like probably just get information, trying to because there's been like journalists and like other people like you can kind of tell like they ask a lot of questions. But I try to like take into effect who's writing me and like just not to respond. Like I've responded to a few people just because like either my parents have talked to them on the outside and then I kind of know, okay, it's a real person.
Oh.
But like there's some people that like it seems like they're just trying like to get help for themselves too. Like some people ask like like just for spiritual advice.
They're asking for spiritual advice from you.
Yeah, like if they're not asking about the case, I'll write them back. If they ask about the case, I don't write them back.
You think you'll be in love again? There's a lot of women out there that are in love with you.
No. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not the guy that's down the street or whatever it is. I've heard enough about that guy since I've been here.
What have you heard about him?
The guy engaged over a letter.
He did, yeah.
That's pretty insane. But yeah, I don't see myself being in love ever again.
Do you have some ladies that are giving you a lot of, like, just telling you that they're in love with you and that kind of stuff?
Well, I've had a couple letters that have been like, I hear you get a lot of letters from lady friends that tell you all you need to know. And I'm like, I don't get those letters. Trust me. Like I guess there was one letter in Colorado. Someone sent me a picture of them in a bikini, and then it's like went on from there. That was like the only letter I ever got. That was like that. But the press took it and just went with it.
Yeah.
Made it.
Do you ever get requests from the press?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that work?
Just tear it up. Throw it away.
So are you personally declining?
Well, I don't like write it back.
Would they allow you to talk with them? Would they allow men here to talk with you?
I don't know. I guess some stations have asked to come in here and talk to me, but they have told them no.
Oh.
But I've gotten letters from like Denver stations and whatnot wanting to talk to me. and then quotation marks off the record. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. Anything I write.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, I just tear it up, throw it away.
Have you thought about like writing a book or anything like that?
No, that's nothing like that.
What do you-
My mom and dad. Sorry, what did you think?
No, go ahead.
My mom and dad was saying maybe you should like write down like how you feel or like, you know, how you've been dealing with this type thing. Just write it down, and that would be my story. But I'm just like, I'm not writing a book. That's not me. I mean, I've always had a really crazy imagination. So like when I was a kid, like I even convinced my teacher I went to Japan over the summer or to China or something. But she said, you know, like, you know, you should just write down like, you know, your story, like how you cope with this.
Why did you convince your teacher you had gone to another country?
It was just like what you did over the summer, and I was like, oh, I went to China. I just started writing. And she actually believed it. I was really convincing.
So you're a smart dude.
Yeah. It was, and they, like, parent-teacher conference said, so how was China? Well, nope.
So earlier you were talking about how this experience you're gonna want to help people. What do you mean by that?
So like this couple letters that I've gotten, like this one girl, she's in like an abusive relationship and she just can't find a relationship like with God. And like I never read the Bible before all this. Like in Weld County, I read it because, you know, in the segregation hole there, it was like that was the only book I got. And I was like, okay. I read it cover to cover, and I never thought I could, being how many pages are in the Bible, but it stuck with me, and like I've been reading it more and more here. Like I got a different version here. I've just been reading it, just writing down like a couple scriptures a day, like to give to my mom and dad. And they've been like making a little journal and stuff like that. And my Uncle Johnny and his wife Martha, they're actually missionaries, and one of my cousins is actually as well, and they've been helping my mom and dad. And they've been they looked at a couple of my letters, and they were amazed at how mature I've gotten with like the Bible and everything, the Scripture and everything. Just like one gift that I did get was a good memory, as far as like being able to memorize stuff. And like that's what happened with cars and with the oil field. I can just memorize acronyms like that, and I've been memorizing a lot of different scripture. I can just kind of like help people that way. And just, like there's been inmates that have left my unit and went to a different place and have written me just to ask, like, you know, can you give me a couple of scriptures to help me through this? Like, do you know of any? And I can help somebody that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you get to go to school or anything?
They don't have any of those programs here.
Oh, they don't.
It's a evaluation prison, so they don't. I think this is when they have the sex offender class in here. That's the only thing they really have.
Are you gonna go to that?
No. No, I always ask, like, why do people go in there? And they're like, you don't want to go in that class.
You stay away from that
Okay.
class.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, that's the only thing they have here, but they have other, like, that's like the map of the prisons they have here.
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier.
Oh wow.
They have a lot here.
Like 3 right in this area.
Yep, they're right around here. I was just amazed that one thing I did see out the window when there was like a neighborhood that's right next to the prison.
Yeah.
So I was just like, is that
Got the same thing.
that weird? Because like in Colorado, it seems like they're all like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Right?
Sterling's in the middle.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay. Easy.
Well, we might take a little break right now.
I think it's almost time for you to eat lunch.
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes.
Yeah, felt like the polygraph. Everything just like. I look up the time. I'm like, oh wow.
It's been 4 hours. Holy cow.
They might let us come back out.
Okay,
There might be a couple more things we want to go over. Is that something you're up for?
that's fine.
Okay. And then the other thing is, we might be back in a month and a year and 2 years, if you're up for it.
Okay.
Now that's way down the road, but I guess maybe in the back of your mind, just think about that. I hope so far today's been all right for you.
Yeah, it's been. Honestly, when I walked in, I was just like, wait, I know these
Where do I
people.
know these guys?
I looked at you, I'm like that's not the site counselor. That's, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
They're Colorado people.
So that's past that A&E sergeant. I was like, all right, who am I meeting? I like, oh, it's not the 80 sergeant.
Yeah. So, there's a possibility we might not make it back today. I just want to let you know, but
Okay.
we might. So, we really appreciate you talking to us.
Thanks
Yeah.
for coming.
Yeah.
Total took me off guard. I didn't know ideas about it.
Yeah. And again, this isn't it. Your case is over, it's closed, so that's not what today's about.
So, okay.
We really appreciate it. You did a lot of things really well, really good. Made a lot of good decisions. Obviously, we're here because of just one bad decision, but I think that you've taken steps to get past that. So, yeah, we might come back after lunch if that's all right.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go see if I can grab somebody.
So then, what are you guys planning to do?
I think I had the better drive. Mine was like 50 minutes. Theirs was like 2 hours. It was snowing. It's pretty nasty out there.
Yeah, the wind's blowing.
Not like wind like Colorado then?
It's a hell of a lot colder.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, the roads aren't getting cleared like they would get cleared in Colorado. I think they just have so much, you
Yeah,
know,
it just
that,
comes in and just dumps.
yeah.
Colorado, it just melts within a couple hours
Right.
here. Just honestly, I haven't seen it melt here since I've
Well, that's the thing. Everyone's
Yeah,
houses are just
piles.
piled, you know, like, oh, it's the next snow, and they just pile it on top. So it doesn't look like anything melts.
No.
Which is the problem. So
Yeah.
Come in a bit.
Okay.
do you guys go outside for rec or anything, or?
No, not when it has to be over 50 degrees.
Oh, so you won't be out for a while.
No, they have like a rec, like a little basketball court down the hall from where my unit is. So we get there about 5 days a week for like 40 minutes.
Nice.
So it's a good chance to just get out and just run around a little bit, just stretch our legs a little bit.
Yeah.
Any weights or anything you can use?
Yeah, there's some weights in there. We go with another unit, and they're it's the infirmary unit that goes with us, and most of them are like in wheelchairs and whatnot.
Mhm.
So we're kind of like I just let them do. I don't want to get in their way. Just like let them like they have like the pull downs and the lats and all that kind of road machine and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, but I think they have like a track or something like that you can run around once we can go outside.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado, they let you go outside. Like, I never went outside, but like at the DRDC, they just said, "Do you want to go outside? Let you go outside. That's cold."
Buyer beware.
And it's like, "Wait, you want to wreck today?" You're like, "No." No, it's like 30 degrees outside. You can go outside if you want. It's like, okay. But their version of wreck was like they'll put you out in a little cage and let you like kind of walk around for a little bit
Yeah.
at DRDC. It was a little different there.
Hey, if we don't want to come back, I just want to let you know I talked to your dad the other day.
Okay.
And just to get your property released to him.
Oh, the phone and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
your phone and what else?
Wallet, I
Your
think.
wallet.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have some other things too. So, but I have to wait for the DA to release all that stuff. And
Okay.
red tape crap. So.
Gotcha.
We'll send it off to him.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I know he wanted my phone, just that there was a lot of pictures on there.
That's what he said.
I think I had that phone since like 2016, so there's a good amount on there.
Yeah.
If we don't make it back today, it's going to be because of some of their scheduling. It's not that we don't want to talk to you some more.
Well, this is fine.
There's more things we can't talk about.
Okay.
But if we don't make it back, that's why.
Okay. Yeah, it's a holiday, so I figured they'd be pretty much open.
Yeah.
So I didn't see many people walking through the hallways when I came down here. Usually there's a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Of visitors or what?
No, just a ton of people, just like workers walking up and down.
Did seem
I
pretty
see.
sparse.
Yeah, it did seem sparse, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing I was shocked about when I walked around here. I was always used to seeing everybody in handcuffs walking around the hallways.
Mm.
Here,